I always thought my mother-in-law's smile was beautiful, right up until the moment I realized it never reached her eyes. That was the night everything changed. The night I learned that some people wear kindness like a mask, waiting for the perfect moment to reveal what lies beneath. My name is Serena, and 6 years ago I founded an AI startup that grew into a $500 million company. I built it from nothing but caffeine, determination, and 3 maxed-out credit cards. That's where I met Matthew. He was our first investor relations hire, and back then his genuine warmth felt like sunshine after years of grinding in the dark. "You're incredible," he'd say, watching me practice pitch presentations at 3 a.m. "The way your mind works, it's like magic." We married after 18 months. The wedding was small, my choice. Gwendolyn, my mother-in-law, had other ideas. "Darling, someone of Matthew's standing should have had at least 300 guests," she said during the reception, patting my hand. "But this is quaint." I laughed it off then. I was too happy to care, too in love with her son to see the contempt beneath her perfectly applied lipstick. The first 2 years were beautiful. Matthew supported every decision, celebrated every victory. Our company grew exponentially, and I thought I had it all. The perfect marriage, the dream career, even a mother-in-law who gradually warmed to me. Or so I believed. Then Caden, Matthew's younger brother, moved back to town after another failed business venture. "Mum, this AI stuff is fascinating," Caden announced at our weekly family dinner. "I've been reading all about it." Gwendolyn beamed. "Caden's always had such a mind for technology." I nearly choked on my wine. Caden had never held a job for more than 6 months, and his last venture was a cryptocurrency scheme that lost his investors millions. "You should give him a position, Serena," Gwendolyn continued, cutting her steak with precise movements. "He could learn so much from you." "We don't have any openings right now," I said carefully. "Nonsense! He could shadow you, learn the CEO role." Her fork clinked against the plate. After all, family businesses should stay in the family. I felt Matthew tense beside me. "Mum, I'm sure Serena will consider it." "It's not a family business," I said firmly. "I founded it before Matthew and I met." The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Gwendolyn's smile tightened, her eyes turning to ice. "Of course, dear. I just thought, since you're part of our family now—" "Serena's right," Matthew cut in, but his voice wavered. "It's her company." Later that night, I overheard them in the kitchen. "She's becoming difficult," Gwendolyn whispered. "All that stress can't be good for her." "Mum, please." "I'm worried about her, darling. These CEO types, sometimes the pressure gets to them. Remember Uncle Robert?" I stood in the darkness, my heart pounding. Uncle Robert had lost his company in a mental health dispute. The family had him declared unfit to manage his affairs. "She's fine, Mom. She's just protective of what she's built." "Of course she is, sweetheart. But keep an eye on her, won't you? Sometimes these things escalate." I went to bed that night with my mind racing. But as I lay there, watching Matthew sleep, a strange calm settled over me. I reached for my phone and typed a message to my best friend, Olive. "Remember that lawyer you mentioned? The one who specializes in corporate protection? I need to meet them tomorrow." Gwendolyn thought she was setting a trap. She didn't realize she was walking into mine. I smiled in the darkness, remembering every detail of that dinner. The way she gripped her knife, the calculated gleam in her eyes, the subtle nod to Caden. I remembered it all because that was the night I started recording everything. My phone buzzed with Olive's reply, "Breakfast, 8 a.m. Bring every document you have." I turned over, my mind already mapping out the chess game ahead. Gwendolyn wanted to play? Fine. But she'd forgotten one crucial detail. I didn't build a $500 million company by being naive. Let them think I was just the lucky girl who married well. let them underestimate me. After all, the best revenge is the one they never see coming. I closed my eyes, but sleep wouldn't come. Instead, I replayed Gwendolyn's words about family businesses, about pressure, about keeping an eye on me. Each word now carried new weight, new meaning. The game was on, and I intended to win. "I think you should see someone," Matthew said over breakfast, sliding a business card across our marble countertop. "Dr. Valdez. Mom says he's excellent." I stared at the card, then at my husband's face. The concern in his eyes looked genuine, but something felt off, like watching an actor who'd rehearsed his lines too many times. "I don't need a psychiatrist," I said, pushing the card back. "You've been working late, barely sleeping. Yesterday you forgot about the Thompson meeting." "I didn't forget. Caden changed the calendar invite without telling me." I pulled out my phone, showing him the original email. "See?" Matthew frowned. "He wouldn't do that." "Really? Like he wouldn't accidentally delete the quarterly projections I prepared for the board?" "You're being paranoid, honey." He reached for my hand. I pulled away. "This is exactly why I'm worried. You're seeing conspiracies everywhere." That afternoon, I met Olive at our usual spot, a quiet cafe 3 blocks from my office. Her legal papers were already spread across the table. "They're setting you up," she said, sliding a newspaper article toward me. "Look familiar." The headline read, "Tech CEO removed after mental health crisis." The story detailed how a founder lost his company after his family proved he was unfit to serve. "Your mother-in-law's fingerprints are all over this," Olive continued. "Dr. Valdez, he was the expert witness in 3 similar cases, all ended with the CEO losing control." My coffee turned bitter in my mouth. "Matthew wouldn't—" "Wake up, Serena. Your husband scheduled you an appointment with Valdez tomorrow at 2 p.m. Did he even tell you?" I felt the blood drain from my face. "How do you know that?" "Because I have a friend at Valdez's office. You're not the first woman with a wealthy mother-in-law who's ended up in his care." Back at the office, I found Caden lounging in my chair, feet on my desk. "Just familiarising myself with the space," he grinned. "Mum thinks I should start learning the ropes." "Get out. Now, is that any way to talk to family?" He stood, adjusting his designer tie. "You know, you really should take better care of yourself. You're looking stressed." That word again, stressed, like a diagnosis they'd already decided on. I was about to respond when Lily, my HR director, appeared in the doorway. "Serena, your 3 p.m. is waiting." "I don't have a 3 p.m. "Yes, you do." Lily's eyes flickered meaningfully. "In the conference room." I followed her out, leaving Caden behind. The conference room was empty. "I heard him on the phone earlier," Lily whispered. "With your mother-in-law, they were discussing your episodes." "What episodes?" "According to them, you've been having memory lapses, emotional outbursts. They're building a case, Serena." My hands started shaking, not from fear, from rage. That evening, I found my office voice recorder moved slightly to the left. Amateur mistake. I picked up my phone. "Olive, I need those papers we discussed, all of them. And I need something else, the best surveillance equipment you can find." "Already on it. But Serena, be careful. The more evidence you gather, the more dangerous this becomes." I hung up and turned to find Matthew in the doorway of my home office. "Who were you talking to?" "Just work stuff," I smiled, channeling Gwendolyn's technique. All lips, no eyes. "You missed your appointment with Dr. Valdez today. The appointment I didn't know about?" He sighed, running his hands through his hair. "I'm trying to help you." "By scheduling secret psychiatric evaluations? See? This defensiveness, it's not like you." He stepped closer. "Mum's worried. I'm worried. Just talk to someone, please." I looked at my husband, really looked at him, searching for the man who used to believe in me, who used to love me. Instead, I saw Gwendolyn's puppet, strings and all. "Okay," I said softly. "You're right. I'll see Dr. Valdez." Relief flooded his face. He didn't notice me slip the voice recorder into my bag. That night, I lay awake, listening to Matthew's steady breathing. My phone lit up with a text from Olive. "Equipment ready. Operation Gaslighters starts tomorrow." I smiled in the darkness. They wanted to paint me as paranoid? Fine. But they'd forgotten something crucial. Paranoid people take precautions, and I was about to take every single one. Let them think they're winning. Let them think I'm breaking. The best trap is the one that looks like surrender. I touched the voice recorder in my bag, thinking of Caden in my office, of Matthew's secret appointments, of Gwendolyn's concerned phone calls. Soon, very soon, they'd learn. You don't try to destroy a woman who built an empire from nothing. You'll only teach her how to build a better one from your ashes. Dr. Valdez's office was exactly what you'd expect. All leather chairs and tasteful abstract art. The kind of place that screamed, "Your insurance won't cover this." "Tell me about your relationship with your mother-in-law," he said, pen poised over his notepad. "She's concerned about me." I forced vulnerability into my voice, watching his reaction. "And why do you think that is?" "She says I'm paranoid, that I'm seeing conspiracies." I paused, letting my voice crack. Maybe she's right. The tiny recorder in my bracelet caught his slight smile. "Got you?" "Gwendolyn mentioned you've been having episodes at work?" I froze. He wasn't supposed to know her name. I hadn't mentioned it. The mask slipped for just a second before I recovered. "Episodes? Memory lapses? Emotional outbursts? Your brother-in-law reported several concerning incidents." Of course he did. I made a show of wringing my hands, playing the part they'd written for me. Back at the office, Khalil was waiting by my door. "We need to talk," my CFO said quietly. "Not here." We walked to the coffee shop across the street. Once seated, he leaned forward. "Someone's been accessing financial records they shouldn't, looking into company ownership structures, transfer protocols. Matthew, and your brother-in-law, late at night, when they think no one's watching." I took a sip of coffee to hide my expression. "How do you know?" "Because I set up alerts after I caught Caden trying to access your private server." Khalil's dark eyes met mine. "They're planning something, Serena. Something big." Back in my office, I found Gwendolyn waiting, perfectly poised in her designer suit. "Darling, how was your session with Dr. Valdez?" "Enlightening." I sat down, activating the recorder under my desk. He seemed to know a lot about me already. Well, we're all so worried, we had to give him some background. "We?" She waved her hand dismissively. "The family, of course. Matthew, Caden, myself. We've all noticed changes in you." "How convenient." Her eyes narrowed slightly. "I don't like your tone, dear. Perhaps the stress is getting to me," I finished. "You seem very focused on my stress levels, Gwendolyn." "Only because we care." She stood, smoothing her skirt. "Oh, and dear, try to make it to the board meeting tomorrow. Caden has prepared quite the presentation." After she left, I played back the recording, noting every inflection, every careful pause. Then I called Olive. "They're accelerating their timeline," I said. "We need to move faster. Already on it. You should see what I found in Valdez's financial records." Just then, I heard voices outside my office. I crept closer to the door. "Mum says we need to push harder," Caden was saying. "The doctor's report isn't strong enough yet." "She's my wife," Matthew replied, but his protest sounded weak. "She's a problem, one that needs solving, unless you want to stay married to someone who's losing her mind." "The board's getting nervous." "Exactly. A few more episodes, a few more missed meetings." Their voices faded down the hallway. I stood there, hands shaking, until Lily appeared. "Serena, are you okay?" The concern in her voice was real, not the manufactured kind I'd been drowning in lately. "No," I admitted, "but I will be." That night, I sat in my home office, reviewing the day's recordings. Lily had caught Caden planting documents in my desk, fabricated emails showing erratic behaviour. Khalil had documented every unauthorised server access, and my bracelet recorder had caught Dr. Valdez's slip-up beautifully. My phone buzzed. "Olive, documents ready. You need to see these now." I was about to reply when Matthew appeared. "Working late again?" He massaged my shoulders. "You should rest." "Just finishing up. You seem tense. Should I call Dr. Valdez?" "No," I said too quickly. His hands stilled. "Honey, these mood swings—" "I'm fine." I stood up, needing space. "Just tired. Let me help you." He reached for me and suddenly I couldn't breathe. The walls seemed to close in. "I need air," I gasped, pushing past him. In the bathroom, I gripped the sink, fighting the first real panic attack I'd had in years. Not from fear, from fury. Pure, burning fury at their manipulation, at their careful choreography of my downfall. My phone buzzed again. Olive had sent files, bank statements showing regular payments from Gwendolyn to Dr. Valdez dating back months. I took a deep breath, then another. Let them think this panic attack was a sign of their success. Let them think they're winning. Because tomorrow I start pushing back. I looked in the mirror, straightened my spine and whispered, "Game on." Behind me, the bathroom door creaked. I caught a glimpse of Matthew's reflection, watching me talk to myself, his phone raised to record. Perfect. Let him think he's caught me in a moment of madness. He doesn't know it yet, but he just gave me exactly what I needed, proof of their surveillance. The trap was almost ready, and they were walking right into it. "Has anyone seen my keys?" I called out, knowing exactly where they were, in Matthew's desk drawer, where he'd hidden them last night. "Oh, honey," he emerged from his office, concern etched on his face. "You left them in the kitchen. Don't you remember?" I watched him find them exactly where he'd planted them. The hidden camera in the hallway caught everything. "I could have sworn—" I let my voice trail off, uncertain, playing my part. "Maybe you should take today off," he suggested, squeezing my shoulder. "I'll call Dr. Valdez." "No, I have a board meeting." His expression tightened. "Are you sure you're up for it?" The board meeting, where Caden was scheduled to present his concerns about my leadership. I'd been preparing for this moment all week. I arrived early, settling into my usual seat. One by one, the board members filed in, their faces carefully neutral. Caden strutted in last, carrying a thick folder. "Before we begin," he announced, "I need to address some concerns about our CEO's recent behaviour." He started distributing documents, emails I'd supposedly sent at 3 a.m, missed meetings that had mysteriously disappeared from my calendar, complaints from employees I'd never spoken to. "Furthermore," Caden continued, "Serena was meant to present our Q3 strategy today, but she seems to have forgotten." The board members shifted uncomfortably. I stayed silent, watching. "Actually," Khalil spoke up, "I have copies of the Q3 presentation right here, the one Serena sent to all of us last week." He pulled out pristine copies of my strategy deck, the same one I'd watched Caden delete from the server yesterday. "But," Caden sputtered, "that's impossible. She never—" "Check your emails," Khalil continued smoothly. "Sent last Tuesday at 2:15 p.m. I always keep backups of important documents. Don't you?" Caden's face reddened. I caught his quick glance at his phone, probably texting Gwendolyn for backup. After the meeting, Lily cornered me in my office. "They're getting desperate," she whispered. "I overheard Caden on the phone with your mother-in-law. They're planning something for the charity gala next week." "Let them," I said, checking my watch. Is everything set for tomorrow? Olive's contact at the bank confirmed it. The wire transfers to Dr. Valdez's offshore account. We have them all. That evening, I found prescription bottles in my purse, medications I'd never seen before. Matthew discovered them during dinner. "Serena," he gasped, holding up the bottles. "What are these? I've never seen them before." "Stop lying!" He slammed his hand on the table. "I can't help you if you won't be honest." The hidden camera caught his performance perfectly, and the slight smirk when he thought I wasn't looking. Later, I heard him on the phone in his study. "It's working, Mom. She's unravelling. Yes, Caden's handling the board. No, she suspects nothing. The doctor's report should be ready next week." I slipped away to call Olive. "How much more do we need?" I whispered. "We've got enough to bury them," she replied, "but let's get them to dig the grave themselves first." The next morning, I made sure Matthew saw me crying in the bathroom, talking to myself in the mirror. He recorded it on his phone, just as I knew he would. At work, Khalil met me with more news. "Someone accessed the server room again last night. They tried to wipe the security footage, but you'd already backed it up?" He smiled. "Of course." I pulled up the footage on my secure laptop. There was Matthew, letting Caden into the restricted area at midnight. Clear as day. "Send it to Olive," I instructed. "And Khalil, thank you for everything." "They messed with the wrong CEO," he said simply. That afternoon, Dr. Valdez called. "We need to discuss your condition," he said gravely. "Your family is very concerned about these episodes." "Which episodes would those be, Doctor? The ones Gwendolyn paid you to document?" A pause. "I don't know what you're implying. Really, should we discuss the monthly wire transfers to your Cayman account, or your history of helping wealthy families seize control of companies?" The line went dead. Minutes later, my phone lit up with a text from Gwendolyn. "Family dinner tonight! Non-negotiable." "Perfect! Let them think they're closing in for the kill." I touched the recorder in my bracelet, checked the camera feeds on my phone, and smiled. Tonight, they'd try to spring their trap. But they didn't realize they were already caught in mine. "Ready?" Olive texted. "Ready," I replied. "Time to watch them burn." I grabbed my keys, my real keys, not the ones they kept hiding, and headed home. Tonight would be interesting. After all, the best part of any chess game is the moment just before checkmate, when your opponent finally realizes they've lost. Gwendolyn's dining room felt like a stage set for my execution. Crystal glasses caught the chandelier light, casting prism shadows across starched white linens. Everyone was already seated when I arrived. "Darling," Gwendolyn purred, "we've been so worried. You missed lunch with Dr. Valdez today." "Did I?" I swayed slightly, watching their reactions. I could have sworn that was tomorrow. Matthew and Caden exchanged glances, right on cue. "Sit down, honey." Matthew pulled out my chair. "You look tired." I fumbled with my water glass, letting it spill. My hands shook, not from anxiety but from anticipation. "I'm fine," I slurred slightly. "Just everything's a bit fuzzy lately." "Of course it is," Gwendolyn said soothingly. "That's why we're all here, to help you." The housekeeper served dinner, my favourite pasta dish. How thoughtful, how calculated. "I have something to tell you all," I announced, standing unsteadily. "I've been seeing things, hearing things." Caden leaned forward eagerly. "What kind of things?" "Like people moving my things, changing my calendar, hiding my keys." I paused. "That's crazy, right?" "Oh, sweetheart." Matthew grabbed my hand. "We need to get you help." "Actually," Gwendolyn interjected, "we've already taken steps for your own good." She pulled out a thick envelope. "Legal documents." "What's this?" I asked, though I knew exactly what it was. "Just some papers to protect you and the company." She slid them across the table. "Dr. Valdez agrees. You need someone to manage your affairs temporarily. You want to take my company? We want to help you, Matthew insisted. You're not well. I stood up, swaying more dramatically now. You're right. I'm not well. Because my husband... I pointed at Matthew, my finger wavering. And his mother. And his brother. They're all... All what, dear? Gwendolyn's voice dripped with false concern. They're all trying to steal my company, I screamed, throwing my water glass against the wall. The crash was spectacular. Everyone jumped. See, Caden whispered loudly. She's completely unstable. I started laughing, high-pitched, slightly hysterical. The perfect picture of a woman losing her grip. Serena, Matthew stood slowly, like he was approaching a wild animal. Let's get you to bed. We'll discuss this tomorrow with Dr. Valdez. No! I grabbed the legal papers, ripping them in half. You can't have it! I built it! Me, not you! Not precious Caden! Mom, Caden hissed, call Dr. Valdez, now! Gwendolyn reached for her phone, but I was faster. I snatched it away. Looking for this? I waved it wildly. Want to call your pet doctor? The one you've been paying to declare me crazy? Their faces paled slightly. First crack in the facade. Honey, Matthew tried again, you're proving our point. Am I? I pulled out my own phone. Or am I proving mine? I pressed play. Gwendolyn's voice filled the room. Just get her to sign the papers. Once we have control, we can handle the board. Another recording. Matthew and Dr. Valdez discussing my symptoms weeks before I ever saw him. Then Caden bragging to his friend, once we get rid of her, I'll be CEO. Mum's got it all planned out. The silence was deafening. You, Gwendolyn's voice shook. You recorded us? Paranoid people do that, I said sweetly, my voice suddenly steady. We document everything just in case. You can't prove, Caden started. Can't I? I pulled out my tablet. Should we discuss the server room break-ins, the deleted files, the offshore payments to Dr. Valdez? Matthew stepped toward me. Serena, please, we can talk about this. Oh, we will. Tomorrow, in court. I walked to the door, then turned back. By the way, I'm not drunk or crazy, but you already knew that, didn't you? You won't win, Gwendolyn hissed, her mask finally cracking. We have witnesses, documents. Forged documents, I corrected, and witnesses who've already signed affidavits about your bribes. Check your email. My lawyer sent everything an hour ago. I opened the door, where Olive was waiting with 2 police officers. Officers, I said clearly, these are the people who've been conspiring to commit fraud and corporate theft. I believe you'll find the evidence quite compelling. As the officers entered, I heard Gwendolyn whisper to Matthew, How did we not see this coming? I smiled, thinking of all the nights they thought I was falling apart, when I was actually building my case. Next time, I said softly, pick an easier target. The last thing I saw was Caden's face as the officers began reading their rights. He looked exactly like a man watching his castle crumble. But the real show? That would be tomorrow in court. The courtroom buzzed with tension as Dr. Valdez took the stand. I sat perfectly still, watching him adjust his tie nervously. Dr. Valdez, their lawyer began, please describe your professional assessment of Serena's mental state. Based on my observations and sessions, he cleared his throat, the patient exhibits signs of paranoid delusions, erratic behavior, and diminished cognitive function. And how many sessions did you have with her? 3 extensive consultations. Olive stood up. Your Honour, I'd like to present Exhibit A. The bailiff distributed documents to the judge and jury. Dr. Valdez's face went ashen. These are bank statements, Olive continued, showing monthly payments of $25,000 from Gwendolyn to an offshore account registered to Dr. Valdez, beginning 3 months before I ever became his patient. The judge leaned forward. Dr. Valdez? I can explain. Please do, Olive said smoothly. And while you're explaining, perhaps you could address these text messages between you and Gwendolyn, discussing my diagnosis before you ever met me. The courtroom erupted in whispers. Gwendolyn's attorney jumped up. Objection! These messages were obtained illegally. Actually, Olive interrupted, they were obtained through a legal subpoena of Dr. Valdez's business records, as was this. She played an audio recording. Dr. Valdez's voice filled the room. Don't worry, Gwendolyn. I've handled cases like this before, once we establish a pattern of erratic behaviour. Your Honour, Dr. Valdez stammered, I was merely conspiring to falsify medical records. The judge's voice could have frozen hell. Step down, doctor, and I suggest you contact your lawyer. You'll need one. Next came Caden, trying to explain away the server room footage. I was just checking the systems. Without authorization, Olive asked. At midnight, while deleting security logs. I had permission from Matthew, who had no authority to grant server room access. Interesting that these break-ins coincided with missing files and altered calendar entries. Caden glanced at Gwendolyn, who sat rigid in her designer suit, mask finally cracking. Then came the parade of witnesses. Lily testified about the overheard conversations. Khalil presented detailed logs of unauthorized access attempts. Even Gwendolyn's housekeeper testified about being asked to plant prescription bottles in my purse. Finally, Matthew took the stand. My heart clenched despite everything. I was trying to help her, he insisted, voice breaking perfectly. My mother convinced me Serena was unwell. Play Exhibit D, I whispered to Olive. The video showed Matthew in our bedroom, carefully rehearsing his concerned speeches with Gwendolyn. No, darling, say it more worried, less angry. We need the judge to believe you were acting out of love. Matthew's performance crumbled. I can explain this. Olive held up more documents. Your application to become CEO, dated 2 weeks ago, or these draft press releases announcing your appointment after your wife's tragic mental health crisis. The jury's faces hardened. Even their lawyer looked sick. Your Honour, Olive said, we have documented evidence of conspiracy, attempted corporate theft, medical fraud, and malicious manipulation. We request immediate injunctive relief and criminal charges against all involved parties. The judge turned to me. Would you like to make a statement, Serena? I stood slowly, feeling everyone's eyes. I built my company from nothing, created jobs, innovations, value, while Caden was failing at get-rich-quick schemes, while Matthew was riding my coattails, while Gwendolyn was plotting my downfall. I was working, building, leading. I turned to face them directly. You thought I was an easy target, the awkward tech girl who married into your perfect family. You thought you could gaslight me, break me, steal everything I built, but you forgot something crucial. And what's that? The judge asked. People like me, people who build companies from scratch. We're not naive, we're not weak, we're survivors, and we document everything. The judge nodded slowly. I've seen enough. Bailiff, take Dr. Valdez and Gwendolyn into custody pending criminal charges. Caden, you'll surrender your passport. Matthew. Your Honour, Matthew interrupted. Please, I was manipulated by my mother. Save it for your criminal trial, the judge snapped. This court grants all requested relief. The defendants are barred from any contact with the plaintiff or her company. Furthermore, I stopped listening, watching their faces as reality set in. Gwendolyn's mask shattered completely as the handcuffs clicked shut. Caden slumped in his chair. And Matthew just stared at me, finally seeing me clearly for the first time. Outside the courtroom, reporters swarmed. Olive fielded their questions while I stood silent, watching my former family being led away. Was it worth it? Matthew called back to me. Destroying your family? I smiled slightly. You were never my family. You were just people who taught me how strong I really am. The cameras flashed as they loaded Gwendolyn into a police car. Tomorrow's headlines would be interesting. But for now, I had a company to run, and no one would ever question my competence again. The news broke like a tsunami. Tech CEO exposes family conspiracy. Prominent socialite arrested in corporate takeover scheme. Doctor faces license revocation in fraud case. I watched the headlines scroll across my office TV while Olive reviewed the divorce papers. They're offering a settlement, she said. Matthew wants to avoid more publicity. No deals? I turned off the TV. Let him try to explain himself in court. A knock at my door interrupted us. Lily entered, looking concerned. Caden's in the lobby. He's demanding to see you. Perfect timing. I checked my watch. Is security ready? Standing by. I took the elevator down, Olive at my side. Caden stood in the middle of the lobby, dishevelled and wild-eyed. You ruined everything, he shouted. Do you know what you've done? Protected what's mine? I kept my voice calm. Exposed your fraud? Mum's in jail. Our reputation is destroyed. And for what? Because you couldn't share? Share? I stepped closer. You mean hand over my life's work to someone who's never earned anything? I'm a Garrett. This should have been mine. Being born into privilege isn't an achievement, Caden. It's luck, and yours just ran out. He lunged forward, but security was faster. As they dragged him out, he screamed, You'll regret this! We made you! No, I called after him. I made myself. You just showed me how strong I could be. Back in my office, Khalil waited with more news. The board wants to meet. They're concerned about stability. I smiled. Perfect. Schedule it for tomorrow morning. That evening, my phone buzzed with a restricted number. Serena, Matthew's voice. Please, just listen. To what? More lies? I loved you. I still love you. No, I said quietly. You loved what I could give you. There's a difference. Mum manipulated me. Stop. I have recordings of you planning this for months, coaching Dr. Valdez, rehearsing your concerned husband act. I can explain. To the divorce court. I hung up. The next morning, I faced the board. They sat stiffly, avoiding eye contact. I understand you have concerns, I began. Let me address them. I pulled up our quarterly results. Revenue up 40%, 3 new patents pending, stock price at an all-time high. While my husband's family was plotting to seize control, I was building this. I clicked through slides showing our achievements. Every milestone, every innovation, every success. That was me, not the Garretts. Me. The board shifted uncomfortably. But what about stability? Someone asked. You mean like Caden's stability? The man who lost millions in crypto scams, or Gwendolyn's, currently facing federal charges? Silence. I built this company before I met them. I'll keep building it now that they're gone. The only question is, are you with me? One by one they nodded. The chairman cleared his throat. We stand behind you, Serena, unanimously. Later, Lily brought in more news clippings. Dr. Valdez lost his license. He's cooperating with prosecutors against Gwendolyn. And Matthew? Living with friends. The divorce papers were served this morning. I nodded, then turned to my window. The city sprawled below, full of possibilities. My phone buzzed, Gwendolyn's lawyer. She wants to make a deal, he said. Full confession, testimony against everyone else, in exchange for leniency. The mighty Gwendolyn turning on her own children? I laughed softly. How predictable. She says she can explain everything. No deals. Let her face the consequences just like she wanted me to. After hanging up, I called a company-wide meeting. Many of you have seen the news, I addressed the packed auditorium. Yes, My husband's family tried to take over. Yes, they tried to declare me mentally unfit. And yes, they failed. Murmurs rippled through the crowd. But we're not defined by those who try to destroy us. We're defined by how we rise above them. So let's get back to what we do best, building the future. The applause was deafening. That night, alone in my office, I opened my desk drawer. Inside lay the first business plan I'd ever written on a coffee-stained napkin. Next to it, my wedding ring. I slipped the ring into an envelope addressed to Matthew's lawyer. The business plan I pinned to my wall, a reminder of where I started and how far I'd come. My phone lit up with a text from Olive. "Drinks. You deserve to celebrate." I looked at the city lights, thinking of Gwendolyn in her cell, Caden in his disgrace, Matthew in his regret. "Not tonight," I replied. "Tonight I want to work. Because success isn't just the best revenge. It's the only revenge worth having." I turned to my computer, fingers flying over the keyboard. There was a company to run after all, and I was just getting started. The morning of Gwendolyn's sentencing, I sat in the back of the courtroom, watching her designer suit and perfect posture fail to mask her fear. 7 years, the judge announced, plus restitution of all funds obtained through fraud. She turned, scanning the crowd until she found me. I met her gaze steadily, remembering all those family dinners where she'd looked down at me with barely concealed contempt. Outside, reporters swarmed as officers led her away. "Any comment on your mother-in-law's sentence?" they called. "Justice speaks for itself," I said, then turned to more important matters. Back at the office, Lily waited with news. "Matthew signed the divorce papers," she said, "and Caden's leaving town. Apparently, no one will hire him after everything." "Good." I checked my watch. "Is everyone ready for the announcement?" She nodded, grinning. "They're waiting." In the main conference room, my entire executive team sat expectantly. Khalil and Olive flanked me as I stood. "First," I began, "I want to thank you all. Your loyalty during the attempted takeover meant everything." I turned to Khalil. "Which is why I'm announcing a new employee stock ownership program, starting with 15% of company shares distributed among our core team." Gasps and smiles filled the room. "Lily, you're promoted to Chief Operating Officer. Khalil, you're getting that Executive VP position you deserve." "And me?" Olive joked from her seat. I smiled. "You, my friend, are getting 10% ownership. Consider it payment for saving my company and my sanity." The room erupted in applause. As people celebrated, my phone buzzed. "Matthew." "Don't hang up," he pleaded. I need to say something." "Say it." "You were right about everything. Mom, Caden, me, we were wrong, and I'm sorry." I let the silence stretch. "Is that all?" "I miss you," he whispered. "No," I corrected. "You miss what I represented, success, status, power. But you never really saw me." "That's not true. Goodbye, Matthew. Don't contact me again." I hung up and rejoined the celebration, accepting hugs and congratulations. Later in my office, Olive poured champagne. "To justice," she toasted. "To consequences," I countered. "You know what's funny?" She settled into a chair. "A journalist dug up your original incorporation papers. You had protective clauses against hostile takeovers built in from day one, before you even met Matthew." I smiled. "Always have a backup plan." "You never trusted them, did you?" "Let's say I learned early that some people see success as something to take, not earn." My computer pinged, an email from an investigative reporter. "Sources suggest you began recording conversations months before any obvious threats. Care to comment?" Olive read over my shoulder. "Going to respond?" "No need." I closed the email. Some mysteries are better left unsolved. A knock interrupted us. Lily entered with more papers. Final dissolution of all Garrett family claims to company assets, she announced. You're officially free. I was always free, I said. They just helped me prove it. My phone lit up with another text from Caden's ex-girlfriend. You should know. They planned this for years. Gwendolyn chose Matthew's career path, pushed him to invest in tech companies, all so he'd meet someone like you. I showed Olive the text. She whistled, playing the long game. Too bad they didn't play it better. I deleted the message. The sun was setting when I finally left the office. In the lobby, the security guard handed me an envelope. Delivered today, checked for safety. Inside was a note from Gwendolyn. You won, but remember, you learned how to be ruthless from me. I dropped the note in the shredder without replying. She still didn't understand. This was never about being ruthless. It was about being prepared. Outside, the city hummed with energy. My company's logo glowed on a nearby building, a reminder of everything I'd built and protected. Ready to go? Olive called from her car. The team's waiting to celebrate. I looked back at my office tower one last time. Somewhere out there, Matthew was drowning in regret, Caden was facing unemployment, and Gwendolyn was learning that prison jumpsuits don't come in designer labels. But here I stood, stronger than ever, surrounded by people who'd earned their place in my life. You know what? I slid into Olive's car. I think I am ready to celebrate, to build, to live. She grinned. Without looking over your shoulder? Oh, I'll always look over my shoulder. I fastened my seatbelt. But now everyone else will too, when they see me coming. We drove off into the neon-lit night, leaving the past where it belonged. Behind us, gathering dust, a cautionary tale for anyone who thought they could steal what I'd built. Some people call it karma. I call it justice. And justice, like success, is sweetest when you earn it.